Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how to make bowling great again. So in this video, we're going to cover personalities, athlete presentation, broadcasting, the PBA channel, hype, promotion, and venues. So we're going to cover all of these topics in this video, so stay tuned. Alright, so welcome back. So in this video, we're going to be talking about how to make bowling great again. So let's go and get into the video here. So the first topic that I want to cover is the PBA needs to have better broadcast styling. What does that include? So it includes better camera angles. They need to use technology to track anything and everything. Real-time reactions, less dead time. We need pacing to speed up just a little bit. And a solution would be to have a film director or somebody from other professional sports like the UFC, MLB, or the NBA to come and to create a whole new filming experience for the matches. This is just my opinion, but I believe that the filming and the broadcast styling that the PBA has, it just isn't good enough. We need something bigger and we need something better. And that's what I think should happen. So the solution would be to bring in other parties who know what they're doing, who know how to film things and make it look bigger than what it is. So imagine something like a big UFC event or like a big boxing event. So if you think about boxing, you think about Floyd Mayweather. Some of his biggest boxing matches were probably some of the most viewed matches of all time now. He is the main attraction, but how they film it, how they broadcast it, that's what people love. They love the feeling of it, and so the PBA needs to bring that to their matches, to their big events, and so that way it feels bigger on TV whenever you watch it at home. Broadcasting and pay-per-view. I remember back when I was younger, they had a match at Fenway Park and had different matches outside in odd locations. It was fun. Now obviously that messed with the oil, and the ball will of course react oddly because of moisture and other factors. But big events should be treated like a primetime boxing match. This is where we use platforms like pay-per-view, Netflix, Prime Video, etc. to get people to buy in and look forward to something fun and cool. Bowling feels small because it is presented as small. This is where the stars of the sport shine and show off their personality. Think bigger, not smaller. This is where action meets opportunity. What's crazy about that is, I've tried to look it up online. Maybe you all can find it online somewhere, but I do remember whenever they had a match at Fenway Park, and it was cool because it was outside. And that's the whole thing. The PBA needs to have events like that and have people come as if it's a concert, as if it's a big boxing match or something fun and cool and exciting. And so whenever you have something like that, you need to televise it as something cool and exciting and big. So if it feels big, then it's going to be that much bigger whenever you watch it at home. The next point I want to cover is the PBA channel. The PBA channel, I believe, needs to be created. So the PBA needs to have their own channel, just like golf does, just like tennis does. You have the tennis channel, you have the golf channel, you have the NFL channel. So the PBA, to me, needs their own channel. And so they could showcase different matches throughout qualifying. Show matches going on all throughout the country and the world for that matter. This is where no-name athletes can gain popularity. This is also where the PBA can gain plenty of content for social media to show clips of key matches going on throughout the whole year. And so to me, I know I've watched the golf channel, I've watched the tennis channel, because I'm a guy that loves all sports and I like to watch everything. And so it's crazy to me because they really take advantage of them having their own channel. And so you think about even college sports, they have the SEC channel. And so the SEC really partners up with ESPN, and that's how that they do that. And so whenever the teams are not on ESPN or on ESPN2, they're actually on the SEC channel. And so then that just allows them to be seen more. This is the change that needs to happen, because if the PBA had their own channel, well, then they could take advantage of that and then again partner up with different networks, whether that's ESPN or NBC or Fox or whatever. And on that PBA channel, just like the golf channel, you could have shows. You could have shows where you talk about tips in bowling, do the behind the scenes, or just show different stuff just on that channel, but then also show every tournament that is ever going on throughout the country. You could show it on that channel. And so to me, I think this would be a big, huge turning point within the game, because you could broadcast every single match across the whole world on this one channel, but also partner up with different networks. Use key moments wisely. The PBA needs to use key moments in matches that could be considered as clutch moments, iconic shots, or comebacks. I know just from watching the NCAA, like if you ever watch March Madness, they will use key moments, clutch shots, just to kind of put some emphasis on what has happened throughout the tournament, what has happened during that game. I mean, it seems like every sport does this, and so I feel like that the PBA have tried to do this, but they need to do a better job with it, especially during the match and leading up to the match. I think you have to really double down on that, make it bigger than what it is. The next point I want to make here is the casual fans don't remember scores. They remember who wins. Big time clutch shots, or how they felt when they seen a certain match play out. That's who you need to market to. We're not marketing to bowling fans. Bowling fans, serious bowling fans, will watch no matter what. We're trying to market to the people who don't watch, to people who maybe like bowling, who maybe bowl on league, but they don't really watch bowling. They don't really know much about it. That's who you're trying to market to. So that way you can bring everybody together to watch this one event, and you really promote it. And that's the thing, you gotta promote it. You gotta create drama, and that's how you do it. You have to create something that people want to see, and this would be a big turning point if you use these key moments wisely. The next point is you gotta make bowling easier to understand. So the casual viewers do not understand oil patterns. They don't understand why pros don't put up good scores sometimes, or even how hard the game is. So I believe the PBA can do a better job with this by explaining the format in the very beginning of the broadcast leading up to the match. They could explain what it took for the bowlers to get to where they are, and explain the pattern in a simple way, and show how the players must play the pattern in order to score well. The PBA do try to do this. I know Randy Peterson during the match, he'll try to explain it. It's just they need to do a better job with it, because even for me as a bowler, I know what they're saying, I know what they mean, but there's a lot of lingo that's being used, and if you're not a bowler, if you're not really involved and you just tuned in and you're trying to understand what's going on, you don't really get it. And so it's almost like me tuning in to watch poker. Yeah, maybe I know about what's happening, but they start to use this lingo and I have no clue what's going on. And so that's the thing. You got to put yourself in their shoes. You got to put yourself in the casual fan's shoes, and the person who just tuned in that doesn't know what's going on. Now but there is a happy medium, because you'll have your true bowling fans who do know what's going on, and they get very annoyed when the announcers are just over explaining everything. And so you gotta find that happy medium, but also keep in mind there's people who do not know about bowling who have just tuned into that broadcast, and so you gotta explain some things, dumb it down a little bit, that way people can actually understand what's going on. So this is a huge point here. You gotta build up your athletes. So the PBA doesn't create stars, it just crowns winners. That is a problem. So how do we fix it? The PBA needs to use social media wisely and build up the athletes to be larger than life with behind the scenes content, documentaries, and they look into the life of the athlete to allow people to really get to know the bowler. Pete Weber is a classic example of a bowler who is mainstream and is famous for many different things throughout his career. People don't fall in love with the game, they fall in love with people. This is where the PBA can really step up their game. They can really build up their athletes through social media, through commercial campaigns. I still remember to this day when they had, I believe it was Parker Bone III, and the commercial was he left it open. It was a Denny's commercial, and he was eating. Then it fell off his fork. Now it was either Walter Ray or it was Parker Bone. It was either one of them. But that was a huge commercial campaign, and I still remember it to this day. And now that was just a Denny's commercial. Now listen, I'm talking way bigger than that. I'm talking about as if you're going to promote a big boxing match coming up. You're going to promote a big movie coming out. That's what I'm talking about on that level. Then on social media, you get within those platforms like TikTok, you got Instagram, you got YouTube, you got anything that you want to post it on, you got X. You promote it through those platforms bigger and better than ever before. And so you got to use whatever your tools are, wherever the people are, wherever the audience is, promote it on those platforms and make it bigger than ever before. And that's how you build up your athletes. That's how you build up their persona, and you make the athletes bigger than life itself. To kind of piggyback on that point is you got to use the athletes wisely. So the PBA's biggest mistake is it doesn't use the athletes wisely. Every major sport has personalities. Bowling has personalities too. And the PBA needs to promote the athletes any chance they can. They need to push rivalries, do a little trash talk, mic the players up during the TV events, and lean into emotion just a little bit. Promote and hype up the upcoming matches through social media, commercials, radio, and media in general, which is what I was just talking about. And so, again, just to kind of make the point here is I remember Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon in NASCAR. They had a huge rivalry. And I know for me, I really truly thought that Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt hated each other. Well, they really didn't. They were actually friends, but they hyped it up to really show that they hate each other. And so that created these fan bases. You had the Jeff Gordon fans and you had the Dale Earnhardt fans. And so they really got at each other. They really hated each other too. But that created hype. That created something to look forward to watch, to see what Jeff Gordon was going to do or see what Dale Earnhardt was going to do. And that brought people to the tracks to actually come watch the race. And so, again, it's just a little thing like that. Create hype, create drama. When you have people like that, and you can promote something, even if it's not real, that creates hype for the people at home, for the fans to actually watch and look forward to. Because again, it's just creating drama. It's creating something that really isn't. But again, it's fun for the fans to watch because now they have something to look forward to. And so that I think that's what bowling needs to do. Make it fun for people to watch at home. This point here was made with the bowlers in mind, so there may be some bowlers out there that may get upset about this point, but I really don't care. This point needs to be made and it needs to be talked about. So if you don't like this point, it is what it is, but this needs to be talked about. So the athletes do not look like athletes. The PBA athletes need to look the part and act the part. People in general don't respect someone that is overweight or doesn't have good self-maintenance or self-care. Bowling is an athletic sport, but it is not marketed as such. I believe if big athletic brands got involved, like Jordan, Puma, Nike, Adidas, Reebok, Under Armour, then that would change the whole perception of the sport. And I believe that this would also motivate bowlers to be in better shape, which would help them be competition ready and have better longevity, which is what you want as a bowler. So imagine if you saw bowlers training like athletes, dressed like athletes, and sponsored like athletes. I believe that would change how you see everything. Just to kind of double down on that point, Athletes need to look like athletes. You get respected more whenever you look like an athlete if you are doing a professional sport. So you have to take that into account. So whenever you are a brand yourself, whenever you are known, whenever you are famous, whenever you are a famous athlete, especially in this sport, in bowling, you're not respected as much if you are out of shape, if you are not healthy, because you have to, again, you have to look the part. And so this is where the athletes could change. And two, to piggyback off the main point there is, if we got bigger brands involved, if the PBA teamed up with Nike, Adidas, Puma, whatever the big athletic brands are, if they teamed up with them, well, then again, bowling would be looked at as a totally different sport. I still remember whenever Tiger Woods got in really, really good shape. He really started lifting hard, and he would come and he looked like a bodybuilder out there playing golf, and that totally changed everything within the sport of golf, because before he was just skinny, you know. But as time went on and he got into the prime of his career, he really started to lift hard. Well, then that forced every other player to kind of get in better shape too, because now Tiger Woods, he was the standard, and so the other golfers had to live up to that standard. And so if you have the stars of bowling getting in good shape, looking like athletes, being sponsored like athletes, well then that now sets the standard, and then the other bowlers have to live up to that standard. And then so then that motivates the other bowlers to want to be better, to want to do better, want to look better. And so this would be a huge turning point if bowling really made that shift to being more of an athletic sport, and to be seen more as an athletic sport. All right, so this is something that I've thought about a lot that I think bowling really needs to change, is the PBA needs iconic venues, just like any other sport. Right now, PBA events are still held at public bowling centers. This shouldn't be the case. The PBA events should be held in key tournament sites. So not only is the event safe and organized, but the pattern application is consistent. And the lane surfaces and approaches are all up to date and not damaged and worn due to years of wear and tear from leagues and parties. The venues itself should be set up like a stadium and have seating for fans to come and watch, just like any other sporting event. This is the thing that I get most confused about. Why is it that the PBA have events at public bowling centers? Can anybody answer that question? In any other sport, would that be okay? I don't think it would be. I don't think that golf would be okay playing at some country public golf course. It's not up to par. It doesn't make any sense. I don't care if it's an amateur tournament or what. I mean, I don't think that the PGA would be okay with that. I don't think that the NBA would be okay playing at some high school. That makes no sense to me. And so the PBA really need to change that. Now, I know there's a lot of history at these bowling centers. I do, because there's been a lot of tournaments held, even at Columbus Bowl, at Wayne Webb's Columbus Bowl. Well, that's fine and dandy. I know there's a lot of history there, but again, it's a public bowling center. It doesn't make any sense. So the PBA really needs to have key tournament sites. So what I think that they could do is to have key tournament sites within each region throughout the country. And so already you have the regional tour, and you have the South region, you got the East region, you got the Central, the Midwest, the West. And so to me, if you take that format and you put key tournament sites in the East region, in the South region, in the West region, and you could have maybe two in each region, or even just one, that's where you would hold all the PBA events. It's a serious bowling tournament site. This is where you hold these tournaments, and then that is where you could build your stadium seating, and then that's where you could also make it bigger than what it is. And so to me, think of it like a movie studio, or think of it like anything, like a big concert venue, like a amphitheater, something to where you can hold this event and people come and watch this event, instead of going to some public bowling center and trying to partner up with them and to have some PBA event it's never going to be big. It's never going to be taken seriously because it's at a public bowling center. Nobody wants that. I don't want that. To me, that's not any fun. To me, now the bowlers have to adjust to whatever the wear and tear is on that lane surface. And so lane surfaces may have a lot of dips, a lot of crevices. The approaches may not be level. Heck, I went to a bowling center in Myrtle Beach where the approaches were wavy. It would go up and down all throughout the approaches, going like close to the foul line. And maybe it's just where it's close to the beach and the ground shifts underneath because the ground has a lot of sand. Don't know, have no clue. But again, that's what bowlers have to deal with every single time they go to a different bowling center because it's a public bowling center. They have birthday parties, they have leagues going on all the time, and so why would the PBA do that? I don't know. But again, that's what the PBA could do. They could have key venues throughout the whole country. This is where you hold PBA events. This is a huge point here, the Olympics. So the Olympics would legitimize the sport of bowling overnight. But bowling is not presented at that level at this moment in time. Imagine you see bowlers representing the USA or their home country competing for a gold medal. The sport has been considered before, but has never been acted on. So I believe if this were to happen, then that would boost the sport's popularity by a lot and would inspire many young athletes to want to get involved and to learn more about the sport. The Olympics doesn't make the sport great. It just recognizes what is already. Overnight, a bowler who wins could become the next big star. That could be you. That could be you at home. And so I really think that the Olympics would be a huge turning point. I don't know why the sport is not in the Olympics. It doesn't make any sense to me, especially when you think about the Winter Olympics where you have curling, you have all these different sports that nobody ever watches that maybe people compete in throughout the year, but it's never on TV. I never see it on TV. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, you got table tennis, you got all these weird sports that nobody even watches. Not to say that I don't like to play ping pong. Ping pong is great. I think that billiards is great. But even pool, it's not in the Olympics, you know? So why don't you have bowling when you have all these weird sports in the Olympics, but you don't have bowling? That is extremely popular, especially across the United States and even in different foreign countries. Why wouldn't you have it in the Olympics? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but I think this would be a huge turning point. So if we could get it in the Olympics, that would change everything. If you haven't gotten anything from this video so far, this is the takeaway. So bowling already has talent and the competition. If bowling really wants to make a comeback to its former glory, the game itself doesn't need to change. How it's presented needs to change. If you change how it's presented, then you change how it feels. If you change how it feels, then you change how it's seen. If you change how it's seen, then and only then will you see a movement. And that would be a movement back to success and opportunity. So in closing, if it looks big, then it feels big. And that is how you make bowling great again. So hopefully you liked this video. Hopefully you took something away from this video. And if the PBA is watching, if you want to take any of these ideas, feel free. You know, I created this video just because I'm a bowler myself and I'm a part of the PBA. And so all I want is the PBA is to create opportunity for bowlers who may not have an opportunity, who don't have sponsorships, who can't afford to go to a bunch of PBA events, who can't afford to buy new bowling equipment all the time because they're not sponsored. And so by the PBA in general becoming bigger, then that creates more opportunity for the smaller guys to really get involved in the sport, because right now it's really hard for all the small guys to really get involved. And so if you got anything from this video, go ahead and like and subscribe, and then I will see you in the next one coming up. And so thanks for watching.